Top of the morning to you. Second day in a row of decent weather in the morning. I'll take that. You know what I mean? It's not like 90 degrees out right now. Got a decent morning breeze. I'll take it. It's good for my second part of my workout, my cardio. Good morning, good morning. Again. So, I think the Yankees bullpen start kind of slowly starting to discover its new shape, form, whatever you want to call it. And I think last night, David Bednar emerged as the next guy that's going to be the closer of this team. Yo, Ken, what do you know? And you let me know if you think differently or if you agree or disagree. When we have Fernando Cruz back, and when Jake Bird comes back, and Jake Bird was actually pretty decent last night in AAA. Once they kind of figure out how to get him right, once Fernando Cruz is back, I think Cruz, Bird, and Luke Weaver are best suited to occupy the 6th and the 7th innings if our starters don't go beyond 5. And more often than not, we hope that they do. Then I think Camilo Doval and his big arm best occupied as the 8th inning setup guy. And then David Bednar in the 9th as the closer. He's got the temperament and the bulldog mentality and clearly the physical durability to handle the job. That's what we need right now. We shoved last night. It's been inning and 2/3. Every out he got was a strikeout. Mowed through all the big bats in the lineup. And that's what we need. And he looks genuinely happy to be here. Notice I didn't mention Devin Williams. And apparently, Yankees said yesterday they're going to use him in lower leverage situations if he's still here, which they did before, and he actually was started to find himself again. And I'm fine with that. But maybe they decide when Fernando Cruz comes back and Jake Bird is back to move on from Devin Williams, because he does look not happy to be here, right? So, and if that's the case, I would just take the L and move it on, keep it moving. If that's what it needs to kind of get the mojo and the vibe back in the bullpen, do it. So be it, right? And whatever it takes at this point, get the Yankees moving in the right direction again. I think Boston lost yesterday. Yankees won. The Blue Jays won. So Yankees at the very least picked up a game on the Boston Red Sox. But we got Houston and come to the Bronx now. And they have a relatively winnable schedule for the rest of the year. But still got to go to Fenway. Still got to go to Houston. Can't get out of that one. Aside from that, Yankees are well positioned to win the majority of the series that are being played, but they have to put it together, right? I'll give it a few more days of Aaron Judge being in the lineup and these guys haven't figured out what to do here, and getting Ahmed Rosario and Jose Caballero and some of these guys in the lineup with some type of regularity to complement the guys they already have in here as well. So, and lineup hasn't been a problem. They still have the biggest run differential in all of baseball. So, and they lead or at the rank at the top in almost every offensive category that matters. So, we got to get it right. We need the pitchers to start us to give a little bit more length, right? The two guys that we depend on the most, Carlos Rodon and Max Fried, have been the two guys that have been giving less length than guys like Will Warren, right? So, we'll get what we get from Cam Schlittler. He's still barely a developing rookie with a big arm. And that's when I think that whole bullpen formulation would probably, we get 5 good innings out of Schiller, and we can kind of employ the bullpen that way or deploy the bullpen that way, then I think we'll be in good shape. We do the same thing applies to Warren, fine, so be it. But I'd love to get at least 6 out of at least Fried and Rodon as often as we possibly can. So, but we're, you know, and one good week could change fortunes of a team on the good or the bad side. The Yankees were on the receiving end of the bad fortunes of this over the past 2 weeks, while at the very same time, the Blue Jays enjoyed the good fortune of it. That's why they created a gap on the Yankees. Closed the gap the Yankees had on them, created one on the Yankees. So what happens when a team gets cold and the other team gets hot. I'm hoping that the Blue Jays and the Red Sox even hit a little skid where they give the Yankees an opportunity to pick up some games. Because there really is no magic number as to how many wins they need to get in, because a lot of that's going to depend on how the other teams play, how many games they win or lose, right? So that's got to be factored in. But that's how I would employ the bullpen. You give me your take. Let me know what you think, how you would employ the bullpen. What's up, gang? Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Thanks for spending a couple minutes with me in the morning. And it would be probably the most productive way to utilize these guys. I mean, they have the versatility to kind of mix and match. They can put Cruz in the 8th, Duvall in the 6th, or whatever. And as long as they are employing these guys in the situations where they can be most helpful, so be it. But I do think David Bednar is clearly putting his foot down saying, I'm taking his closer role. He definitely, that's the way he gave me last night. And we needed somebody like that. And they won last night. They held it down. The bullpen held it down. Rodon kept them in the game for 5. The bullpen held it down for the other 4 innings. Didn't give up a run at all. That's exactly what we need. And we need to get back to the point where the bullpen is a strength, but we need the starting rotation to be reliable to put the bullpen in a position to be a strength, right? Because when we are clicking on all cylinders, we're going to be a really tough team to beat. But on paper is not the same thing as on the field, on the diamond. And that's important to remember. And I don't really care what people say on Twitter. So you know that, you guys know that already. I don't care what people are saying on WFAN, other channels, where it's just a blame game every single day. This is a complete waste of time, right? I don't care what Jack Curry said yesterday. I don't care, not even a little bit. Okay. So, just going by what I'm seeing on the field, and then love to know what you folks think. How would you construct this bullpen? And which starters would you like to see get more length out of? To me, it's Fried and Rodon. Right? We can get through 6 with them. I'll take 6. And then all we need was 2 or 3 innings. 3 innings with a loaded bullpen. But they have to figure out a way to get this loaded bullpen clicking on all cylinders again, because they haven't been clicking on all cylinders for a while. A lot of it has to do with them being gassed or overused because of the fact that the starters have not been giving length, forcing Aaron Boone to overuse the bullpen. This is what happens when you're not getting length from the guys that are here to give you length. Kind of in the finishing stretch of the season, or the last quarter of the season, a little bit, last 30% of the season. There's still time for the Yankees to do some things. And again, they win the division, they get in the wild card, they get in the playoffs. Everybody starts at 0-0 again, but the Yankees need to be No matter what position they would take in the playoffs, Yankees need to be kind of having their cylinders clicking all together at the same time. We all know this, right? All right. I can slow down now. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Ken. Yeah, if we can get more than 5 out of Schlittler, I'll take that. But if we can get a solid 5 out of Schlittler and then deploy the pen, and this is it's gonna come handy when Cruz comes back and when Yarbrough comes back too, because then Cruz can probably give them an extra second inning. Yarbrough can give them multiple innings, and in which case you don't have to employ the bullpen the same way every single day, right? That's the benefit of having a converted, guys like Ryan Yarbrough, who gave the Yankees, like, when he was healthy, 5 innings on a regular basis. But you could take 3 good innings out of him, even twice per week. I'll take that, right? And it makes it easier to mix and match everybody else in that pitching stable. So getting Yarbrough back will provide a nice crop of value here for the team. And Fernando Cruz also will provide, will provide good value for this team too. And those are the 2 arms that we need back ASAP, right? And that will give us a better idea of how the team operates at somewhat close to full strength. And at that point, when those guys are back, maybe they'll make a decision on Devin Williams. It's just, unfortunately, it's not a fit, right? I think everybody can acknowledge that. But doesn't mean you need to smash the guy on the way out, right? I don't see the point in that either. Especially from behind the screen when he's not here. So, I wish him well. If he catches on somewhere else, I wish him well. It sounded like his preference was probably to be in the West Coast in the National League. So, maybe he'll go there. Maybe if he gets released, maybe somebody picks him up. And maybe Brian Cashman will do that like he did with DJ LeMahieu, like he did with Marcus Stroman. Just got rid of them, released them. Right? That could be the type of ice cold, move or gesture that needs to be made right now. And if it's going to help the team, it's going to help the team. Either way, I wish Devin Williams well. No matter what. If he comes here and he stays here for the rest of the season, I hope he pitches well enough to rebuild his confidence so he can catch on somewhere else next year. So I'm not really worried about how he's going to stick it to us this year based on where he goes. Don't care about that. We have enough here to be okay. Hey, Jonathan, what's happening? Oh, well, exactly, Jake. That's what I'm saying. We need a couple of them to go past 5. And when I say go past 5, I mean keep the pitch count down. One of the things we've been doing recently is, throwing way too many pitches in 5 innings, and our offense giving the other opposite team's pitchers 5 pitch outs. Like, no. Our batters need to continue to work the plate, even though we have the best run differentials. Blah blah. So what? We want to have success. Heading into the playoffs and into the playoffs, we need to be patient at the plate. We need to work the counts. Right? There's no doubt about that. Well, yeah, that's where we need to be more strategic right now, right? More small ball willing, or whatever you want to call it. Small ball, medium ball. But you need to get back to working the counts. When the best Yankee teams used to have the opposing team's pitches at 100 pitches in the 4th and 5th inning. And we have too many of our guys at 100 through 5 right now. And the opposite team's offense know this. They'll just work the count. Get us out of there knowing that our bullpen's not at full strength. So they can capitalize on our bullpen, which is exactly what they've been doing for weeks now. Right? So, and yeah, it's only been a week since the trade deadline. So, man, maybe Yankees need a little bit more time to figure out how to deploy 7 new guys. That's over 25% of the roster. That's new at the major league level. So, yeah, the Yankees are going to need a little bit of time to figure out how most effectively to deploy these guys. And now you got our Aaron Judge back. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Stanton now. What are you going to do with Rice, right? So, now you got Goldschmidt hitting again. With Rice hitting too. So, how do you fit all these guys in? It's a good problem to have, but it's also a frustrating problem to have. Right? Well, we don't know if the analytics team is telling us to do that. That's the assumption. That's the talking point. Right? We don't know. That's not something we can confirm. But if they are, yeah, sure. If they are, common sense will tell us. Like, I mean, I hope it tells the players too. Take a pitch. And a lot of times you're swinging at pitches that aren't strikes. So, please take a pitch. It's easy to scapegoat Brian Cashman. It's easy to scapegoat Aaron Boone. It's easy to scapegoat analytics. But we have to confirm that they're the actual problem first. Or the main problem, the culprit. We know analytics is interfering with a lot of, the ability of the Yankees to do certain things. We know this. But I'm not taking Derek Jeter's word or A-Rod's word only. They didn't have to deal with this stuff. So they cannot speak from personal experience. All due respect to these guys. They didn't have to deal with this. Okay? So I'm not only taking their word for this. People can do that just because they said something on Fox Sports one day, okay, and run with it everywhere on Twitter, okay. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. I'll listen to them, sure. But people saying, well, A-Rod needs to be the next manager. He's got a great baseball. He's got a good baseball mind. But does anybody realize he hasn't caught a coaching job anywhere in baseball? Nobody's hiring the man to be a coach. Anybody notice that? I sure have. He's a hell of a baseball player, one of the best ever. No doubt about that. There's no denying that. And he's got a good baseball mind, yeah. But that's not the only thing. He's also known to put his foot in his mouth way too often and to say things that rub a lot of people the wrong way. Okay? I'll listen to what he says, sure. But like I said, I'm not taking it as gospel. And I'm not taking what Derek Jeter says as gospel either. Well, we'll see if Jazz... I know a lot of folks want Jazz extended. I don't know now if he's going to get extended or not. He's got another year left on his contract, but maybe the Yankees are, and I can't confirm this, but with all the guys that they've drafted in the infield over the last couple of years, maybe they are looking at other options. Maybe they are looking at Volpe at second and George Lombard eventually at the shortstop. We don't know. But Yankees really don't extend a lot of players before they're free agents. So, it's something to keep in mind too. But if Jazz, I hope he takes advantage of his skill set more often than not. Now, I understand it's a joke, Stephen B., but it's also something that not a lot of people seem to understand, right? Or people, like I said, and I say this all the time, is this your position or are you using other people's talking points? Because most of the talking points you take from other people also don't know what they're talking about and cannot speak from experience. And none of them stand up here and defend their positions. Not a single one. Right? And that's a fact. Opinions do not change that. But that's what I have for you this morning. Thank you for spending time with me on my walk. Appreciate you. So I'm going to go and get my kids ready for camp now. Got to get the day started, baby. You ain't working, you ain't getting better. Let's go Yankees. Talk to y'all later.